Hey everyone, this is Matt from Curb and I am getting on with my minimalism diary. I've been watching a lot of stuff on YouTube about minimalists and I've seen their lovely empty houses and how clean and sleek everything they're doing looks, and I am very, very impressed, but I have a whole lot more stuff than they have to get rid of. And I know they've got lots of excellent advice and it's all lovely to see their lives, but for some of us, we got a lot of stuff and it's very, very hard to let go. To me, minimalism isn't just about having less stuff, it is just living so lean. Not necessarily clean and tidy, but just bare bones. Preparing my barn out there as a bit of a tiny house where I can discover what really are the raw necessities that I need, as well as being surrounded by a lot of the junk that deep down I know that I got to get rid of. I mean, you can see the shelves behind me, and this is just one room. I got a house and a barn and it's all full with this junk. I have been traveling in Europe for months at a time, and that's when I really realized, man, I can live out of my suitcase, and I am not a guy who really needs to use a lot. My issue is that I've got these sentimental connections to the things I've done in my life, the stories and the objects that represent certain things that I've been through, and all the stuff that I collected from my family. And the story of this stuff goes back to when I was living with my granddad before he died, before he went into a home. His dementia set in quite rapidly after my grandmother died, and this is my granddad. Yeah, I'll see if I can get him nice and close to the camera, or you can see him. He used to really look after me and was a huge influence in my life because he was such a good man. When he was suffering from dementia, he did is because he was always an organized guy, he would take all these collections of things and he would make these random little collections of all kinds of objects that didn't really make much sense. And you know, this is part of my whole thing about minimalism. You know, he was collecting all these crazy objects that didn't have any connection. It was just completely random, and it makes me think about how this process has been kind of crazy for me. It kind of muddles up your mind when you're just looking around you and all you can see are all these memories and all these objects and artifacts and implements and all kinds of things. And that's what we reflect on when we find ourselves building up all these crazy collections of all these strange objects that we hang on to. Why are we holding on to these things? Why you know, a strange patch of leather? I guess my granddad came from the Depression era. They will tell you about the war. They will tell you about the Depression. And they will tell you how hard it was, and that was a huge influence on people my age that I don't think younger people quite have, of the grandparents who tell you that they went through a lot of hard stuff. And so that was what my granddad was always doing. He was always hanging on to things because you always fix things. You know, also you might need a leather patch for when you need to fix your pants, when you get a hole in your jeans or a hole in your clothes, you need that. Let me empty all this stuff out here. I wasn't hanging on to this stuff because it was some connection to him. It was just that idea that he was trying to connect with his possessions. He was trying to manage these objects and he simply couldn't. It relates to the way that we are trying to connect with and manage our possessions, and sometimes that becomes a struggle that we can't manage. Well, it's not so much about the ability of a crazy, demented old man to manage what's left of his mental faculties. It's about letting go. It also connects to a bigger thing that I started to deal with, that I was looking around, looking at all the family stuff that I've got, and asking myself, what is it that I'm really hanging on to? Because it's not the objects themselves. It's that concept of it reminds me of a person, but that person is gone. And I know these videos always give you something about, oh, they're still alive while they're in your heart, and all this kind of stuff that's meant to make you feel better. But this is exactly comes right back around to a point that I wanted to make, that it got so bad in the end that my grandfather didn't even recognize me sometimes. So you've got to realize that all your memories are going to slip away, and the people that are dead, they are dead. Oh yes, they're still alive while they're alive in your heart, but when you can't even remember those things that you've been through, then they truly are dead. They truly are gone. And when I pick up certain things, it makes me realize there's going to come a day where I'm not going to be able to remember the things that I have been through unless I pick up some object, and like I do when I'm out there in that barn, I pick up an object and I instantly go, oh, that reminds me of that time. I just churn over all these things that have happened in my life, and I'm sort of drawn into it. And that's when I start to realize that, yes, I'm going to forget it all. Where before you die, things are going to start to slip away. And this is a point I keep on making about older people, is that they have this nature about them. They can't remember that they were ever young. I have these moments in my life where I do remember all the things I've been through, and I start to recount, oh my God, the things I've been through. When all these memories start to flood back, you remember, man, I have had a life. Wow, I really have. And that's why I'm afraid to let things go, because I'll start to lose parts of myself. But when you remember that everyone is going to lose a part of themselves eventually, because you're simply not going to be able to remember all the things that you've been through, that's when you start to have to make a choice. Because otherwise, I'm not going to allow anything else to ever happen to me. All my life is going to consist of is these constant trips down memory lane. There's all these memories come at you, and you don't have a chance to enjoy what could possibly be in the future. You know, you meet old people and they've become stuck in their ways. They're stuck in their habits, and this is what my granddad was doing. He was trying to organise this stuff tidily, and instead it just became this crazy collection of bits of paper and cards and things that have no connection. Look at this. It's a card from a real estate agent. Some of these cards are a little bit sad because they come from my grandmother's family. It was only after my grandmother died that he only lasted a few years longer before he had completely lost it. And it is, these lessons and reflections that we take from the people around us when people become attached to things. Because it's not just about possessions, it's about people, it's about ideas, it's about attachment. When people become attached to things, it becomes their whole life. You have to make choices. That's what I've been on about outside that, when I've been talking about this out in the barn. You have to make choices about what you're going to be attached to. If I choose to be attached to this battery, then that is room in my life that I am not making for something that matters more than this battery. That's what this journey of minimalism is all about. And I watch a lot of these minimalist channels, and it's all basic stuff like, oh, you could save money, or you'll think more clearly, but I don't think they're really getting into the real grit of it. That if you want to have a better life, then part of having more in your life is getting rid of what you've already got. And this fundamental message that I'm pushing through about my granddad is, you're going to forget everything anyway. I'm going to forget there's going to become a day where I'm too old to remember some of the girls I met, to remember some of the dates I had, to remember all the gigs, the dozens, over 100 gigs, DJ gigs that I played. I'm not going to remember every single one of them. All the parties I went to when I was young, all the friends I made, all the places I visited on my travels, I'm not going to remember them. So the attempts that we make to remember have to be managed too. And if I find some dinky little thing, I have to be prepared to let it go. That's what it's all about, letting it go. Minimalism is not just about having less and living a more streamlined life and saving money and all these things that are very practical. Of course, these are great benefits, but to me it is almost making me start to realize that in life, in this long life, the main skill that we have is letting go. When you're tied up with a girl, or you're in love with somebody, or you're infatuated with somebody, you have to learn to let go. When you've got this goal that you've struggled for, when you've got this image of yourself, when you've got this idea in your head, this ideology, or this kind of political idea, or this concept that you're hanging on to that means everything to you, you've just got to learn to let go. And if holding on to a bunch of old things that my grandfather put in a pile, an old corkscrew, an old eraser, stuff that we barely even use anymore, because some of his old medicine here, and band-aids, and the old things that old men collect because they think they're going to need a lens cap for a camera that's bloody long gone. It doesn't make any sense. This is what an old man who's lost his mind gathers up together and stuffs in a cupboard. It's an old receipt that somebody's folded up into a tiny little piece like that. That's what would have been my granddad. He would have folded it up because he didn't know what he was doing. An old golf tee. It doesn't matter anymore. Being sentimental about it, I'm not sure if it does bring us much joy. Some things you just can't let go of. There'll be some things up here that I can't let go of. And pictures of my grandmother's grandfather, which kind of have such a kind of stretch back so far into the past and give you such a concept of your history that I would find that very hard to part with, because they were things that my grandparents, they truly valued, whereas this is just an old man going crazy and senile. Of all the objects that do really connect you to somebody, what are you really connecting to? If it connects you to a person, that person's gone. If it connects you to a time in your life, then that time is gone. If it connects you to a place, that place that you've moved on from. The best thing you can do for yourself is let go. You can't hold on to everything. Everybody loses it eventually. So it's a reminder that we're all going to lose it one day. You've got to live your life now. I can't spend the rest of my life just walking around that barn going, oh, this was that and that was this, and wasn't it happy and wasn't it sad, and aren't these feelings, oh, so many feelings. If that's what you want to do with your life, if that's what it's all about, it's about making a choice about what you want in your life. Is what you want in your life to be attached to feelings about the past? If that's what you enjoy, sure. But I'm starting to think that to just get rid of it all. This is why I'm on this minimalism journey. That's why people are embracing minimalism, because they're making room in their life for the future. And the least that they have to worry about things that are looking after things that are going to happen that they have to maintain, connections that they have to maintain that just aren't worth it. It's about being active and making the choice and saying, this is how I want my life to be. And sometimes you can't make life be the way that you want it to be, but at least you have a chance of letting better things into your life if you let go of the old things. You have to let go, and you have to, they say that building yourself up spiritually and mentally isn't just like building yourself up physically. You have to do the work. You have to do the exercise. And that's what I'm doing here. That's what my minimalist journey is all about. It's about taking apart the ideas so that we understand that what we really want, dwelling on the past. This is why we have these rituals like funerals and all these kinds of things, and memorials and such things. Let's put the energy that we're going to devote to memory, to reflecting on the past, into this time, into this space, and then let's forget it and get on with our lives. Because you think in the past people lived a lot shorter and harsher lives. They didn't have the time to sit around going, gone through a lot of stuff. This is my series of diary entries, diary vlogs on minimalism, my minimalism journey. This is basically just a chance to reflect on the fact that, my granddad, I love my granddad so much. He lost his mind, he became demented, and that's a future that's waiting for a lot of us if we get there. Until that time, time is short. You got to enjoy it. I'm going to get rid of this stuff. This is the only moment I have to reflect on this stuff and to exercise my letting go muscles. Say, I'm letting go of this. I'm letting go of as much as I possibly can, so that I can create room for the things that I want in my life, for more memories, more happy memories, to meet more new people, to make new connections, to make sure that those things that happen to a lot of old people who become so stuck in their habits and so unable to change their ways or change their ways of thinking, you don't want that to happen to you. And it's hard to let go, it is. That's why this is why I make my videos, not for the people whose houses are already empty, but the people going through the same struggles that I am of letting go of this stuff. You've got to learn to let go, because you'll be better off for it. So, until next time, next Minimalist Diary, this stuff is joining the rest of the stuff on its voyage to the trash can or whatever. I love my granddad a lot, but he's gone now. A bunch of junk that he put in a cupboard isn't going to help me with that. It's just a moment to reflect and to gain the knowledge. That's what we do. We extract the knowledge from the stuff, we remember, then we move on, we feel free, we wake up tomorrow, we face the future, we have something to look forward to, we've still got our brains, we've still got the people out there who are around us and care about us, and that's what I'm saying. That's what it's all about. Take control of the choice of making as much room in your life for the things that you care about, because the things that you don't care about, that you just pick up randomly, they're not going to give you a better life. They're just going to leave you dwelling on something that you can't change and that can't help you anymore. So thanks for listening along, checking it out, and I'll be back with another Minimalism Diary next time. Cheers.